What is up, Raider Nation? Your buddy Murf back once again for what we trust will be a fantastic episode of the Raiders Fan Radio Rundown. Not to be confused with the other 150 rundown shows that there are out there right now, but this is the OG one, and this is where your old buddy Murf here and my best friend and yours, Swag Jeff, we talk about the Raiders news stories of the day. This is basically our not live podcast,
right?
Yeah. So we typically get in the weeds a little more. This is like if you want a football nerd. Like, this is where we get a little nerdy.
Yeah, we nerd out.
We're not being all silly and goofy and doing all of our normal shticks and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we're still going to be silly.
Well, yeah, we still aren't going to take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
But we do take our fandom seriously, and so we are going to talk a lot about the Raiders here tonight. So for all of those of you that are joining us live on the YouTubes tonight, thank you for joining us here at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, each and every week at youtube.com/Raiders Fan Radio. And for those of you that are on the audio podcast, thank you very much for downloading the show. Our downloads and our audio numbers continue to climb, Swag Jeff.
Hey, come on.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
It was, it got a little... got a little rough there for a second, and to the point where I actually called people out on the show. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
I was like, that's ridiculous. I know the Raiders suck, but don't kill our podcast because the team's bad. Well, y'all came back swinging, man, because the numbers have been fantastic.
Well, yeah.
So thank you to you guys for that. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get to it. Without further ado... let's send it over to my best friend and yours. He is the man that adorns the right side of the poker table. He is Swag Jeff.
It's dive and profile.
What up, Swag?
Oh, man. More great news in Raider Nation and all that.
Oh, my
I can't
gosh,
wait.
right?
I mean, like, of all the off seasons that I've been a part of this,
Yeah.
I know I say it every year, right?
This is the most you're excited?
I don't know if I've ever been this excited. You know what I mean? And, because why not? We're building a freaking all-star coaching staff.
Really are.
If those of you among Raider Nation, if you're not excited about what the Raiders are doing right now, like, you don't have a pulse, bro. Like, this has just been incredible.
Yeah.
Perfect combination of, the excitement that we had for getting it off, because remember a few years ago, we were excited about Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
We were all excited about it.
To say that, but we were.
We were excited about it because, we've got this offensive mind coming in and, the offense is going to light it up and all this stuff. And then last year, we were super excited about the culture change that Antonio Pierce was going to bring.
That was the most fired
stuff.
up we've been. We were all,
we were all in.
We were all in on Antonio Pierce.
For sure. But like this coaching staff, I feel like has all the pieces of the last two that we've had, the culmination of all of them is come together to form this perfect, ray of hope among Raider Nation. We get the offensive mind of Chip Kelly, and we're going to talk about that. Plus, the culture that Pete Carroll is going to bring and the culture that's going to stick around with Patrick Graham and all that. It's the perfect cocktail, man. And I'm here for it, man.
It's interesting because most of the time, when you have a new GM but especially a new head coach, that come into the building, you get full turnover. There's very, very rarest of occurrences where you retain the previous defensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so for the Raiders to make those moves, I think speaks volumes. We talked about it last week that I believe the retention of Leonard and the retention of Graham, I think a lot of that has to do with Max Crosby.
Yep.
I think that also lends to the idea that we probably re-sign a lot of our unrestricted free agents. I don't want to say a lot, but I'm going to say Bob Spillane, Divine Diablo, Trayvon Merrick, Malcolm Kuntz,
Nate Hobbs.
It would make a lot of sense to retain those guys. And, look at how high we were on this defense 2 years ago. And unfortunately, other than injury and a horrible performance offensively this year, that's what really landed it poorly to make the defense look so poorly this year.
Yeah, totally.
But you think about it, but that core group, if you retain that core group of guys, and by the way, you saw, Ja'Cory Bennett's game elevate, right? You start, add Jack Jones back in the mix and a lot of, I think that there's something special that could be there on defense. And I think that's the reason that they retained those guys, and that not only could they see it, but I think that the players wanted it. And I don't think this was a reaction to the players. I want to be clear on that too, that I think that by Max's statements and comments alone about, listen, I'll have an opinion, but I'm not getting involved in this.
Sure.
Again, there ain't no more him or trade me talk. There isn't no, I don't believe any of those things are going on anymore. But I do think that those guys are willing to vocalize that, hey man, we like PG. We like Rob Leonard. We like playing for these guys. And if we're going to be back here, we would like to keep playing for those guys, you know?
Absolutely, man. Well, it provides a sense of stability for these guys that are in the building. You know, I mean, guys like Max, like Nate Hobbs, like all these guys, they've had nothing but turnover this entire, you know, time that they've been with the Raiders and all that stuff. So this does provide a little bit of stability. And, you know, and all the different hires that we've made, it's clear that Pete Carroll isn't in full rebuild mode. You know, I mean, this isn't going to be like, you know, oh, well, here in a few years, we'll see what happens. Kind of like some of the other situations around the NFL, like, you know, Cleveland. And now here it is, Myles Garrett asking for a trade and all that stuff because he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. I think the message has been made very clear to Max, but to everyone on the defense and everyone on the Raiders football team in general that, hey, we're here to win and we're going to be, our goal is to kick Kansas City's ass. That's always been the goal. That's what we're going to do. So yeah, so I love the moves that have been made, and I'm with you, man. I really think that a lot of these free agent guys are going to stick around. You know, I mean, you know, to see the two, I'm super excited about the safeties, right? So if we bring Trayvon Merrick back, and then, oh yeah, we have Isaiah Polamalu, like, I mean, talk about,
and then
you know,
Chris Smith to come along maybe and develop, back him
you know,
up. Yeah.
You look at those players, and you like they fit into what Pete Carroll does. It fits into like the Legion of Boom style of, you know, I mean, like the two super smart safeties, Polamalu with the, you know, with the heavy hits and stuff. He's our Cam Chancellor and all. Like, I think that's amazing, man. So I'm all in on what the Raiders are doing right now.
I'm with you, dude. And I think that it's also too, by showing their willingness to retain the old guard per se, at defensively, but then offensively go the opposite way, because the offense is what needed a reset.
Yes.
That's where, like, this team does not need a full-blown rebuild because it has a defense. I firmly believe that. And if it wasn't for the struggles of the offense, which puts the defense in unfavorable positions, coupled with the amount of injuries that we had to some of our best players,
right? One
of them that was going to be an emerging superstar, we all think, in Malcolm Kuntz. And then all of a sudden the guy gets hurt in preseason. You know what? So the defense didn't need to be rocked. The offense needs to be rocked because we don't have a running game. We don't have a quarterback. I'm sorry, you Aiden O'Connell fans out there. He ain't it, man. He's just not it. He's a nice guy, seemingly. I don't know. I've never had lunch with him. He might go home and kick the cat for all I know. But he's seemingly a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He's a hardworking dude.
Sure.
He's you know what I mean? He's a good kid. So I don't root for him.
He's a serviceable backup.
He's a serviceable backup. He's the kind of guy that will come in if your main guy goes down and can put together 2 or 3 solid performances back to back, and then till your guy gets healthy and comes back. That's what you need in modern day NFL. And if so, he's on a rookie contract. He's not going anywhere. I think that it's a perfect scenario for him as the Raiders then progress past him on to the next thing when we got it's time to secure our franchise guy. Where that thing goes, I don't know. But bottom line, though, is that we're going to see more improvements to the offensive line. We're going to have a new starting quarterback. We're going to have a new starting running back. Odds are we may have a new number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Whether that's acquired in free agency or
I think
otherwise.
that's where you get them.
It's got to be. Got to be. And then the only position that we don't need to improve on is tight end, because we've got arguably already the best one in the league, and Michael Mayer's a pretty sweet number 2
he ain't no
to
slouch.
have right there. You know. So I think that we're looking really good there. We've got depth already at wide receiver. Obviously, Cobes is a lock at number 2, and then add in Trey Tucker for the slot. After that, it falls off a little bit, but those are positions that kind of rotate anyways. You're talking about your 3rd and 4th wide receiver. Those aren't positions where you've got like a guy that's typically like locked in there for years and years and years.
Yeah.
You know, they'll start there and then emerge from there or whatever, or you just kind of rotate at that position. So all that said, but the big areas, improve in the offensive line, new quarterback, new running back, and then a new starting wide receiver. Those are the big and that is going to require a new shakeup because it wasn't going to work under Scott Turner. It wasn't going to work under any of these other, pardon my language, the other slapdicks that were out there. You know what? It needed somebody of the bona fides of Chip Kelly. And so let's go ahead and get into that. I do want to talk about this officiating stuff.
Okay.
But since we're kind of leading into the conversations, leading into that anyways, let's go and talk about Chip. So I've got this for you here. Let's see. Where is that dang thing at? You know what? Why don't you go ahead? You've got a kind of a list of his accomplishments, yeah?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Let's kick it off with that.
Okay, deal. Yeah, so he started back in 1990 as the DB coach and special teams coordinator for Columbia. He was there for a couple of years, spent a bunch of time in college at New Hampshire. John Hopkins, interesting enough, in 93, he was the defensive coordinator for John Hopkins back in 93, which I thought is really interesting. And then he moves to the offensive side of the ball in New Hampshire for quite a while there. He was there from 94 to 2006 at New Hampshire. Shout out Dylan Laube.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep, 100%. So, and then he moves on to Oregon and becomes the offensive coordinator for a couple seasons. And then for 4 seasons, he was the head coach at Oregon. And that's where he coached my boy, Marcus Mariota, which that might not be the last Mariota drop that we have on this show.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, absolutely.
How...
Save it.
Okay. Dude, you are going to freaking lose your mind if Marcus Mariota comes back as a backup.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So after his play at Oregon,
to resurrect Aloha Corner.
Hello, come on, man. So after Oregon, he moves on and is the head coach for 3 seasons in Philadelphia, where, interesting enough, you know, a lot of people have talked about this, you know, the offensive mind that Chip Kelly is. He had 2 top 5 offenses those years. Out of the 3 seasons that he was there, he was like 3rd and 4th or 2nd and 4th or something like that in the whole league.
Coach Mike Vick.
Yeah, 100%, man. So, I mean, he, you know, and there you go. And he's the running quarterback. So that's another thing saying Aiden O'Connell, he ain't that guy, especially with in the Chip Kelly offense. He ain't that guy. So he moves on from Philadelphia in 2015, spends 1 season as the head coach of the 49ers, flounders, all that stuff. It was a brutal year. And then he goes back to the college level, coaches 5 seasons at UCLA, and then that's where he moves on to Ohio State as the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, where he goes and wins a national championship this past season with Will Howard and Judkins and all the amazing guys that are over there at Ohio State University. And now that brings us to today. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those kind of guys. He's like Norville Turner.
Yeah.
Really, really good offensive coordinator, not necessarily a great head coach. And when you listen to his press conference today, he kind of addressed that. And he said, you know, I'm okay with being a coordinator. And, you know, I didn't love the way that the question was asked because you know how much I love our beat writers. At least, I mean, there's a handful of them that are okay. But
yeah,
then there's those other people. But anyways, so one of the questions was, you know, do you want to get back into being a head coach? And he actually prefaced the question by saying, I might be getting a little ahead. And Chip answered it with throwing that back. Yeah, you're getting way ahead. Like, I'm worried about being the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I've realized that I like coaching positions. I like basically being in the room and being in less of the CEO type that's required as a head coach, and to just be like in the mud, you know,
be a football nerd that you are.
Yeah.
Build a freaking offense.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And I didn't get the sense in his press conference he had aspirations to be a head coach. I certainly don't think that he's got it now. But all that said, too, they're paying. He's the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. He's getting paid $6 million a year.
Highest paid coordinator in NFL history.
There you go. So you don't get that guy. Is that a way to lure him from Ohio State? Absolutely. Because, you know, he's in a good situation. They could go win it again next year. Like
100%.
You know, and say what you want about Ryan Day, and I can't believe some Buckeyes fans actually want that guy fired. Like, such how much fans know.
Well, he just can't beat Michigan.
Well, okay. You know, and I know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
But, okay, you could be 0-4 to Michigan and run off natties.
Yep.
Like, who gives a shit?
I'm a Tennessee fan. I'll lose to Alabama every year if that means that, okay, I'll go win a national championship later.
Yeah. We can get swept by the Chiefs every single year and win the Super Bowl, and you'll never hear a peep out of me. I don't give a shit. You know what? So anyways, that's a whole weird thing. But that said, so Chip was already in a good spot. He didn't have to leave. So he left for situation and he left for money. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But he left for situation, which is interesting because
he got options.
Being a guy that is so dependent on whether it's, and we know that he can be fluid. He's not rigid in his approach, is what I like about Chip Kelly. One of the many things I like about Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator. He's not dependent on one way to do things. They used to run a million plays in Oregon with Marcus Mariota. Everything was speed, get to the line, make plays. That's not what Ohio State does. Like it changed. His offense will adjust based on the personnel that he has. That said, we've seen at multiple levels him thrive with a guy that can run RPOs, with a guy that can escape the pocket and throw on the move.
Come on.
And, and even run at times by design, draw up run plays and whatnot.
100%.
So we've seen that be, if there's any theme, that's definitely one of them you could point at to say that that's a theme of a Chip Kelly offense.
Yes.
So being that the Raiders don't have that, and for him to abandon a good situation to come here where there's uncertainty, that tells you that there's, number one, the money was good. Number two, though, there's probably a plan in place that made a lot of sense to that guy.
Yep.
To where he was thinking, okay, whether that's a conversation with Tom and Spytek and Mark and the collective or whatever, and they told him, we'll get you the quarterback. Which one do you want?
Which one do you want? We'll get you a couple of them.
Which would be Cam Ward.
That would be the guy.
That's the guy. If I had to pick a prototypical Chip Kelly quarterback, like when you think about Mariota, when you think about even Mike Vick, although Mike Vick was Mike Vick long before Chip Kelly came along, but when you think about like Cam Ward's the closer of that. Cam Ward is way more Marcus Mariota than Shedeur is. Shedeur is not that at all. I mean, he's not that Shedeur can't run, but that's not his game. That's not what he does best. That's what Cam Ward does very, very well. He's creative. Sure. I have some questions about his accuracy. I think that he got bailed out by Restrepo on a lot of throws. Like I got my own things about that. But that said, in terms of skill set, that makes a lot of sense. So if they say, hey, guess what, Chip? We're going to sell the farm to get you Cam Ward, or we're going to get you Hendon Hooker, or we're going to get you, I don't know, you pick someone else.
Marcus Mariota.
Well, gosh, Marcus is not going to start, dude, but.
He might to start the season if we go and grab Jackson Dart in the second round.
Here you go.
No, I'm telling you.
Going with this shit.
No, I'm telling you though. Like, so okay, well, take out Mariota and enter Justin Fields or something like that.
That makes a lot more sense.
Well, don't hate on my guy. But add one of those guys into the mix and draft Jackson Dart. I think that's a move. It wouldn't shock me now for Chip Kelly. It wouldn't shock me to see them grab Will Howard in the third.
I know. I thought about that.
You know
too.
what I mean? Like, because that guy can run the Chip Kelly offense. But that guy, you watch him play. I didn't dig into. I'm not an Ohio State guy, so I didn't dig in all season long. But watching him in the playoffs, because he played Tennessee in the playoffs,
right,
and watching the national championship
beat the
game
shit out of Tennessee in the playoffs.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. But that dude can run.
Yeah.
That dude is a scrambler, man.
Yeah.
He can run these RPOs, these designed runs, all these kinds of things. So it wouldn't shock me at all for them to go BPA, Will Howard.
I mean, it's feasible, and then you got to have somebody in there to lead, because they've also said, roundabout way, they're not, or we've heard it inferred to by Tom Brady, they're not interested in throwing someone into the fire.
Yeah.
Tom Brady himself, and everybody knows his story, being a late round draft pick, had time to move into the role that he did, and if he was only thrust into it because of injury.
Yeah.
If Bledsoe doesn't get, dinged up on the sideline, then we don't even see Brady as soon as we did. So, and who knows where the story could have gone from there anyways, but, and ifs and buts. But the whole idea, though, is that Tom Brady understands that the NFL has a quarterback development problem. They just do. And Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud are the exceptions, not the rules.
Right.
For the most part.
Totally.
Nowadays, when you insert these guys into starting roles in the NFL, they struggle. They just do. And typically, if you're a higher round pick, you're going to a bad situation anyway. Look at Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams struggled this year. Now, I know he had some good numbers, but he went to a bad football team, and any of his weaknesses were amplified because he played with a shitty offensive line. He's running for his life back there. So he didn't have a great season. He didn't have a breakout season like Jaden Daniels did or CJ Stroud did last year. So those two guys are more the exception. The more rule is Caleb Williams. These guys come in
Caleb
early.
Williams, Bryce Young, guys like that.
They come in and then they struggle. And so Tom isn't interested in drafting a rookie and inserting him into a role that's high pressure and have him out there running for his life, destroy his confidence.
Good luck, dude.
Yeah, have fun with that. That's not, Tom is going to be patient in the way this thing's going to play out. So I said all that to say this. You're not far off in that everybody, the popular name is Jackson Dart. Everybody loves to bring that name up, and all of a sudden he's rocketing up every draft board. I told you, dude, I called it, and I'm going to keep calling it, and you watch what's going to happen, dude. This is going to be an historical overdraft for quarterbacks. People are going to panic. Once the first guy or two comes off the board,
yeah, holy cow.
you watch, man.
Watch the Titans draft Cam Ward, watch the Giants draft Shedeur Sanders, and watch the Raiders draft Jackson Dart at 6.
Dude, you watch.
Mm-hmm.
It would not surprise me a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's going to be a mad scramble in the back half of the first round to grab him.
Sure.
Something like that.
Sure.
These bitches are going to panic. And I'm not talking about the Raiders necessarily. I'm talking about the league. This league is driven by quarterbacks. You are not a good football team until you get a goddamn quarterback. And there are still a handful of teams that need a quarterback. Like, I mean, we've already heard about the Saints. The Saints are shopping Derek Carr. Like, so who knows what could happen there? But point being, though, is that teams are going to overdraft. They're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that are going to be overdrafted are not worth it. It's not worth selling out. But what else are you going to do? You just going to go into next year limping into it with freaking whoever, as you like us with AOC? No, we're not limping into next year. It ain't going to happen. So all that said, it wouldn't surprise me, Jeff, if your point holds true. If they do draft somebody in the second or third round and sign a freaking veteran QB, I know you love Mariota, and I don't dislike Mariota, but I don't think that he's the guy. But maybe he is. I don't know. I'm not saying that. But
I think Justin Fields is my guy.
I think that if I had to pick someone that's just kind of out there is going to be out there. But that said, we don't know what Pittsburgh is going to do. Shit, it might be Russ that we get that Will Howard is playing behind. You know what I'm saying? But that's all that said too. There are so many options, and I promise you, these conversations have already started between Chip Kelly and John Spytek and Tom Brady and Mark Davis, and that's why we got Chip in the building. I firmly believe that.
Yep.
And I don't even think they have one plan.
And that's what I said. They got options. Like they said, well, if this guy gets drafted, then we'll go this route. If he doesn't get drafted and falls to us, great. I don't think they're going to sell the farm to jump up and grab Cam Ward as much as I think he would fit in the Chip Kelly offense. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to stay put with where they're at. And if someone falls to them, great. And if not, they may trade back into the first or whatever, or take, BPA or trade back or something like that. I don't think they're going to sell the farm for a guy.
Watch them trade back. Bro.
Watch them trade back.
I mean, we got a lot of holes
rounder.
to fill. Like all this Myles Garrett stuff came up this week.
Yeah.
Because Myles requested a trade. And of course, and immediately our fan brains go to like, oh my gosh.
Can you imagine him and Max?
Him and Max with Christian Wilkins in there. Holy shit, right? Like, okay. And trust me, I get it too. That hits me in my silver and black feels just as much as it does anybody.
Right.
That said, he's going to be expensive. And he's 29. Like, give me freaking however old. What's Khalil? What's he, 32? Give me 32-year-old Khalil Mack instead. Like, yeah, I'll take that. Again, he's an unrestricted free agent. All you got to do is sign him. You don't have to worry about getting rid of draft capital. And so that's where I think that as much as fun as it would be to see Myles Garrett in a Raider uniform playing opposite of Max.
He's going to be a freaking Eagle or something like that.
Or a Bill. I think the Bills, because they're in a position to sell out.
Yeah.
And they need to get to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And so so you put Myles Garrett on that line.
Holy cow.
Yeah. There ain't no way they're going to officiate their way out of that one, dude. No way.
Right.
But anyway, so that said, And he's going to be expensive in terms of draft capital, and we can't afford to do that. I don't covet draft picks the way a lot of fans do. I think that when you hold them in such high regard, when they're crapshoots, they're unproven commodities where you know what you're getting with a player. So I think it makes a lot more sense to me. Like if you trade a 3rd round pick for a guy that you know exactly who he is, I'd rather have that than take a flyer on a guy in the 3rd round. Not that you can't hit on great players in the 3rd round, DJ Glaze.
Right.
You know, not that you can't do it, but the odds are you get a known commodity for that pick. So I don't treat them very precious.
Sure.
But that said, we have a lot of holes to fill. We have 12 unrestricted free agents. A lot of those guys are on the defensive side of the football.
Oh yeah, we also got to restructure Max and all that stuff. Yeah.
So we need our draft picks this year. We got to build out the rest of this football team. And I don't think a guy like Spytek, who knows that, is going to just be coming off a bunch of draft picks to go get Myles Garrett. So all that said, dude, it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders move down. What are you going to do? You're going to draft Ashton Genty at 6?
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, but you could also probably get him at 15.
That's true too.
So
that's true too.
You know, so unless it's Travis Hunter or something like that, like I think you might trade out of 6. And again, that's the thing, is that I think there's multiple plans in place. I don't think this is a closed-minded staff. And I really don't. And I think that that's one of the reasons, aside from not getting us a quarterback, I think that's one of the things that got Tom Telesco canned. I think that he was too close-minded last year in the draft.
I think so too.
And he got us an all-world player in Brock Bowers. And
it was a slam dunk the top 3 rounds.
Top 3 rounds were a slam dunk. Absolutely. He crushed it at every position that he was at. But when it came time to be aggressive, he wasn't even making phone calls. And I don't think that this Raider team doesn't have that luxury. It's time to explore every single option. And if you're just going, no, we're not going to make that call. I think that's a mistake. So anyways, all that said, dude, I'm fired up for this, fired up for Chip Kelly for sure. Excited to see where this offense is going to go. And, you know, it's been a long time. We've drafted, 4 quarterbacks in the 1st round in the history of this organization?
Is it that many?
No. Maybe is it even that many? I mean, Jamarcus, I think Roman Gabriel. There might have been one other one in there. I think even in the top 3 rounds, maybe because top 3 rounds, you got Derek in there, you got Stabler in there.
Yes.
It ain't a lot.
No.
So this is almost unprecedented times for us. So that's really encouraging. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to see how this thing plays out for this Raider squad. I'm going to look that up, man, because I know it's not many. I think maybe it's like 4 or 5 guys ever in the first 2 rounds or something like that.
Yeah. I believe it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because Al knew how to find people that were still in their prime.
And you would pull people off the scrap heap and then turn them into
100%.
MVPs.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Let's hit a break.
Okay.
Hey Raider Nation, this is Max Crosby from the Oakland Raiders.
And goes down, and Max Crosby, who forced a fumble last week.
You're listening to Murf, Mosh, and Swag Jeff on Raiders Fan Radio. Thank you so much. Just win, baby.
Nobody enjoyed a good Donnybrook more than 6th-year linebacker Phil Villapiano.
Linebacker, number 41, Phil Villapiano.
This is Phil Villapiano, and you're listening to Raiders Fan Radio.
All right. I want to get in the next part of this conversation, and it kind of dovetails off the Chip Kelly convo, but I want to shout out Scott Gilbranson.
Oh, okay,
give
good.
respect to our buddy Scott. Much respect to Silver and Black today. Him and Mo, my 2 absolute favorite Raiders legacy media guys. They do an amazing job in their impartiality and their objective spirit that they do their show, and also they're funny, and their interactions on Twitter are a blast.
Absolutely.
I love, especially Mo, man. We trade paint all the time.
Oh my gosh, he's
cracks
friggin'
me up.
hilarious.
He's funny. And Scott's not funny, but Scott's been doing these threads lately where you put together like X posts where there's like 8 things in a row or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And it's almost like little mini articles. And this one came up, let's see, this was Yeah, this was this morning, and I want to read this to you and read to all of you that are out there.
Okay.
Check this out. And so, of course, he's at LV Gully on the X there. This Raiders quarterback strategy might be deeper than you think. With Brady as a minority owner, there's a unique perspective on quarterback development. Brady has often emphasized the importance of patience, citing that quarterbacks need time to mature and adapt in the modern day NFL. Then enter Chip Kelly, new offensive coordinator for the Raiders. His $6 million salary isn't just for show. Kelly wouldn't have left a successful stint at Ohio State unless he was sold on a strategic, long-term vision for the quarterback position, likely influenced by Brady's insights on quarterback development. Kelly's known for innovative play calling, and his experience with Will Howard at Ohio State could be key. Howard, which is all to feeding your point, Howard, an underrated prospect in this draft, was shaped into potential NFL talent under Kelly. This connection might not be coincidental. It could be a calculated move. With the Raiders picking at 6, they have options. They could draft Howard or another developmental quarterback later, aligning with Brady's philosophy of not rushing young players into high-pressure roles. This indicates a thoughtful multi-year plan rather than a quick fix. The combination of Pete Carroll's leadership, known for building strong team cultures, and Kelly's offensive mind suggests a new era of stability and strategy for the Raiders. They're not just looking for immediate results, but are setting up for sustained success. This is huge. There's a genuine reason for cautious optimism. The Raiders are now under the guidance of experienced, quote, adults with a clear vision. Whether it's nurturing a draft pick like Will Howard or another young quarterback, the foundation is being laid for a robust quarterback future.
Fantastic.
Come on, Scott.
Yep. So good.
Bro, and I didn't just read that just because I read it this morning, and so maybe it fed my thoughts a little bit on the conversation that we just had, but I didn't play that or didn't read that just to reiterate kind of a lot of the same points that we were discussing. But I think that his tone is what got me, because Scott's not a puppy dogs and ice cream kind of guy. He's not going to polish the turd and be like, oh no, everything's great, Raider Nation.
Right.
Like that's not Scott's thing.
For sure.
And so for him to be convicted in optimism around the team, I mean, he's an optimistic guy. He's a positive guy, but he's also really real when it comes to the Raiders. He's not blinded by fandom like we can be. So for him to phrase it and to set it up like that, if that's where this thing goes. Now, Scott's a very direct, media personality when it comes to the Raiders. That's what he does. Silver and Black Today is about the Las Vegas Raiders. So he's closely connected to it. It hasn't branched out into the national media conversation yet. But is that what we're going to see? Is this now favorable light where people are looking at this as a collective and they're going, oh, the Raiders are for real getting their shit together. And it's been a long time since the Raiders had their shit together, to where we used to say all the time that, well, the Raiders, like people would say, oh, the Raiders are Raidering again, or the Raiders what? And us as fans would be like, well, yeah, because we don't do anything like anybody else does. The Raiders are different. The Raiders are special. The Raiders are unique. The Raiders are not like the 32 other franchises, let alone not like any other sports team. Like they're handled differently. But when Al passed, that changed. And we all know Mark and love Mark, and I will apologize for Mark, but he will also tell you that he's not his dad. And that spirit of independence, the NFL Maverick, all those things that Al Davis represented in not doing things your way, I'm going to do things my way and achieve greater success, that's not been the story. It hasn't been that way.
Right.
So now, by taking Al out of the equation, and it's been since what, 2011?
11, yeah.
So by taking Al out of the equation, so for the last 14 years, we've kind of still tried to be the Al Davis Raiders, and you can't be the Al Davis Raiders without Al Davis. So now it's time to do things different.
Right.
And they're doing things like most of the other, aside from like Jimmy Haslam and the Browns, who's a moron, and like there's a, Jerry Jones, and like there's not, all 31 franchises aren't great. But you start looking around at like the Green Bay Packers, the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I hate them too, but the Kansas City Chiefs, like whatever. There's a order to things, and the Raiders are doing that.
Right.
And it's way different, but it feels right. It feels good. And I'm curious to how long it's going to take for the rest of legacy media, for the Colin Cowards, the Dan Patrick's, the Rich Eisens, the Jim Romes, for those people to catch up to this, like Scott clearly already has, but he's so much closer to it. It makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%, man. You know, I think ever since 2011, when Al Davis passed away, Mark has been, he's been trying to catch, the lightning in the bottle. He's been trying to keep his dad's legacy going and having the Al Davis Raiders, in the bill. And I feel like he caught it with John Gruden in 2018.
Yes, I agree.
He caught that
Yeah.
because John Gruden essentially became his guy. He was going to do things the Al Davis way. He was going to build things the Al Davis way, and was doing that and was doing it successfully. And we saw the fruits of what John Gruden was doing in 2020, 21, all that stuff. And then
Start to emerge.
bang,
Yeah.
And then bang, he got his freaking knees chopped off. And then Mark has been scrambling ever since then, trying to find the next John Gruden, the next guy that can take over all this stuff. Well, now he's found it in Tom Brady. Finally, he's found it in Tom Brady. And then he's brought in these, just like you said, the adults in the room. He's brought in Pete Carroll.
They're made men.
They are
These are
made of the
football
made
made
men.
men.
100%, man. And so now he's got all these football minds, which is what he's been craving. That's what he wants, because he'll be the first one to tell you, I love my Raiders. He's the biggest Raider fan on the planet. He's, he's more invested in the Raiders than you are. But he's not a football guy. And so now he's found his football guys. He found it in 2018 with John, and now he's found it again in 2024-25 with John Gruden, and now Pete Carroll as well. I mean, this is just, it's the recipe for success is there now. And so now I feel like we can see the most Al Davis version of the Raiders that we've seen in a long time.
I agree, because, when you talk about like the last coaching staff, we had a lot of seasoned guys. Marvin Lewis, Joe Philbin, right? Rob Ryan, like a lot of guys have been around a long time. They were seasoned, but they weren't very accomplished.
Sure.
Now you got seasoned guys that are highly accomplished.
Hello.
You got Natties in the building. You got Lombardis in the building. You got
a lot of
how
them.
many rings collectively are between these guys? And so when you start thinking of it in those terms, okay, that's different. That's not just hiring a bunch of old guys to try to advise Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
So you're bringing the guys that have actually done it.
Yeah.
That have been to the mountaintop.
Uh-huh.
That's what now we've got coming into the building. So, so I'm with you, dude. I think that's a great point. And because they're seasoned, because they understand the relevance of Al Davis, they understand the importance of Al Davis to the league, that they can bring that and emulate it without having to try to copy it. Like, we're like, John lived it. John studied under Al Davis. And granted, it blew up at the end because John's ego got bigger than the shield, and no one's bigger than the shield, and Al sent his ass back into Tampa Bay.
Yep. I think John still lives it. Today.
100% agree with that.
Today he does.
He does not hold a grudge against the Raiders, nor Al Davis, or only ever spoke with reverence. And nowadays, especially when he's on this Barstool stuff,
My gosh.
he's talking. I mean,
He's talking Raiders all the time.
We've heard more Gruden than when he was our damn coach.
Hell yeah.
And I've just always got a soft spot for Gruden. I just like the guy. He followed me on Twitter.
Hey, come on, man.
Yeah, man. I fucking.
Hey, it's all right.
I freaking love Gruden, man.
Heck yeah.
Gruden's awesome. Gruden's
yeah.
awesome. I don't even know why he followed me. He just did. He didn't like any posts or nothing. He just locked in over there. But anyways, I've always been a huge fan of John. But yeah, he didn't hold a grudge. It wasn't bitter. It wasn't any of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, when you take Gruden, so Gruden knew what it was. He understood Al. He knew Al. He was close to Al. Just like when you hear Amy Trask talk about Al, like she can speak to
great
it
point.
with a position of reverence and understanding and respect, not only for him as an owner or general partner, but as a coach. So anyways, all that said, I know Pete Carroll didn't study under Al Davis, right? I know that friggin' Tom Brady didn't study under Al Davis. But those guys are so educated on how the freaking league is constructed and construed over time that they get what that spirit is. Because even though they might have been competing with it at times of their career, they certainly respected it. Because that's the thing. you know, or they were even, well, Davis said it's better to be feared than to be respected. But but you guys, my point, Tom Brady wasn't afraid of anybody, neither is Pete Carroll. But I think they respected what Al was doing, and they understand the spirit of this organization. And ultimately, at the end of the day, shout out Max Crosby, at the end of the day, only thing that counts is winning.
That's it.
That's what will ultimately lead to the Raiders getting back to being the Raiders. Is to win some goddamn football games.
Yep.
That's what freaking counts.
Yep.
You know? So anyways, I think that it's that understanding is going to be contagious. It's going to spread. It's going to spread out amongst the rest of media. And I think, I think that we're going to see not a shift, because you're not going to see a full shift until they actually do something, but you're going to see the Raiders spoken about in a much more positive light than
we're already seeing it.
And I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're already seeing it. I mean, you look at, Rich Eisen, Dan Patrick, Pat McAfee, all these guys busting with the boy. We've seen all these platforms come out and go, oh my gosh, what an incredible hire for the Raiders, bringing in Pete Carroll. This is exactly what they need. This, all this and that. Like, okay, like we're starting to feel the respect.
So you are seeing that.
We're seeing the respect in the building, man. Yeah, it's already there, man. And like, it's so funny. We keep talking about, Mark trying to find the next Al and all this stuff. Could you, if I told you 10 years ago that man was going to be Tom Brady, like would your head have just blasted off?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just, that's so crazy to me. But I mean, truly, I mean, I think Mark has now found his guy/guys,
Yeah. And I love the way Brady's conducting himself. There was and we're going to talk about Goodell here in a minute, not in a positive light, but they were talking to Goodell about, Tom Brady towing the line between his Fox commitments and also what he's doing with the Raiders. And, as Mo said today, he's moving in silence like a true G, right? Like that's what you do. He's the quiet partner, but he's doing a lot behind the scenes. But the commissioner made a comment to him that Tom calls him and goes, "Hey, am I cool? Here's what we got going on. Here's what I'm doing. Are we good?" Goodell's like, "Yeah, you're doing good. You're in there." And he's like, "All right." And so the idea that Tom Brady is cognizant of that and aware of that,
that's so amazing.
It's perfect, man. And so to answer your question, no, I would have never, not in a million freaking years. But if somehow, and I don't know why, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes perfect sense that Tom Brady is the prominent influencer, not decision maker per se, but he's the prominent influence with our football team. Ben Johnson was not even. Ben Johnson told, did you see this came out today? Ben Johnson told a handful of teams, don't even request, don't want to talk to you, because he didn't want to embarrass anybody. That's a little bit of testament to Ben Johnson's character, that he said, I don't want to turn anyone down, so I don't want to embarrass you, so here's these teams. He told his agent, these 4 or 5 teams, whatever it was, don't call. And one of those teams was the Raiders. And so the Raiders weren't going to call him. And then Tom Brady said, I'll call him. And then all of a sudden, they had an interview with Ben Johnson. Now, Ben was never intended to take the job.
Sure.
But he went and talked to Tom out of respect.
Heck yeah.
That's some Goodfellas shit right there.
Hell yeah. 100%. Couldn't agree more, dude.
Carrying Tom's groceries out of the store for him.
Yeah.
Out of respect.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Getting free bread on Sundays.
Yep.
Out of respect. That's what we freaking need, dude.
That's what we need.
That's what Al had.
That's what Al had. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I mean. It's weird, though. It's Tom.
You see the modern day Al Davis already?
Come on, dude.
Come on, man. Holy cow.
I love it.
Oh, my gosh. All right, let's talk about the stupid officials.
Oh, gosh.
What's up, Raider Nation? It's your boy, Will Compton. You're listening to Raiders Fan Radio with my boys Murf, Swaggy Jeff, and Uncle Mosh. Tune in because they fucking put out a banger podcast.
Las Vegas, a city without a pro football team, in a world gone mad. What can we do about it? Acquire the most desired franchise in sports history? Sin City, lost wages, home of the Elvis weddings, and 24-hour debauchery. But finally, a match made in heaven. The Oakland, Oakland Raiders have landed in the desert with the Death Star as their home. And to celebrate beyond your imagination has come 3 individuals hosting the most
This is such a
irreverent
good
show
friggin' idea.
while paying
I never listen to it
homage
because it's long,
to
so
the
I press it
storied
and then I go
history
pee.
of this franchise. Raiders Fan Radio with Murf, Swaggy J, and Michelle taking a lighter side journey into the dark side.
Much respect, Uncle Mosh. Thank you for that one. Yeah, I like that one too. I told him, I said, I want to do it like an 80s action movie.
It's perfect.
Yeah, he nailed it.
He nailed it.
He nailed it.
Of course he
Of
did.
course he does, because that's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call him One Take Jay because he hits a one take.
Yep.
Like he writes it all out and he'll be sitting over there doing his thing while I'm messing with audio and doing it. So and he go, okay, I'm ready. I'm like, okay. So I'll turn myself down, turn him up, hit the thing. He does it.
Blast.
Done.
Yeah.
Then I matched it up with the audio and
Done
20 minutes, man. We knocked those things out.
Yep.
Those are fun. All right. I can't stand officials, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this a whole big segment. We got a lot of Raiders things, so I don't want to camp out on it. But I do want to address it because I want to finally want to get out of my system. I want to purge it out of the system. This is the week going into the Super Bowl. We're going to find out what's going to happen in the Super Bowl this weekend. We all anticipate that there's going to be some sort of fuckery that's going to happen with the officials because that's what always happens. But the thing that was very interesting, the thing that I've been kind of harping on the X this week, Jeff, is that the lead story going into Super Bowl week is the questionable officiating that has led to the Kansas City Chiefs potentially winning their 3rd in a row, which is something that has never been done before. And it's gotten so much run that Travis Kelce's being asked about it at Media Day. Patrick Mahomes is being asked, and not even just asked about it,
condescending, made fun of about it.
On NFL Network, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, Clark Hunt, is being asked about it. The commissioner is being asked about it in his press conference. The head of officiating had to come out and make a statement that said that this was a ridiculous theory that the NFL is rigged or there are predetermined calls or yada, 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 whatever. Whether you think the NFL is rigged, excuse me, or leaned to a team's favor or whatever said fuckery could be going on, at the end of the day, shout out Max Crosby, it doesn't matter. What matters is the NFL has a problem. The fact that the league's integrity is being questioned is a problem.
Yeah.
You can't survive long term when we don't know what we're watching. And when you have a league that's registered as entertainment and not a sport, and that's the truth. I looked it up because I would hear that all the time. I'd be like, "Oh, the NFL's registered as entertainment, not as sports." Well, technically, they're registered as entertainment because they have entertainment as part of it, because they have halftime shows and all that kind of stuff. So they're registered as entertainment so they can get the licensing for whatever, those kinds of things. That's the reason for it.
Sure.
But still, when you have questionable outcomes leading to favorable results for one team consistently based on timely penalties, not on the amounts, because they love to throw that out there. Oh, look at the stats or show you that everything's fair and whatever. No, it's the timing of things is what leads to that. So when you have an entertainment league coupled with questionable results with favorable outcomes for a small amount of players and teams, then you have the exposure factor of Taylor Swift, who is the world's largest pop star. And then you have a league with desired globalization. They want to be everywhere. There's a reason we're playing games in Munich now and Mexico City and London and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, then sports betting is now legalized in most every single state and is a monster business outside of just even in Las Vegas. Now it's everywhere.
Yep.
At any given time, we got at least 2 betting apps on our phones. So when you start adding all these things together, it's a rough look for the NFL. Now, I don't think there's an overarching conspiracy. I don't think that the games are rigged, but I do think that with all those things that I just said, and you've introduced so many rules that are subjective to human freaking interpretation, and you have a hubris and an unwillingness to overturn it when you get it wrong. We all have 4K TVs in our house now. We're watching this shit live. We can see it with the greatest of detail. This isn't the 70s. We can see it just as well, if not better than the officials can. So if we can all see it, well, then introduce said technology to override these assholes when they get it wrong. Tell them, no, that wasn't a catch. If anything, it was a pick, but the ball hit the ground, not a catch.
Right.
Overruled.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't care about your fucking ego, Mr. Official. You're going to get called down from someone in the booth or somebody in New York or, I don't know, one of us on our goddamn couch because we can see it. No, you're overridden. Your call is wrong. Your human element can take a freaking hike, man. It's not special. This isn't freaking Major League Baseball. And even in Major League Baseball, you get a tight strike zone. They have it in tennis. They have it in freaking soccer. They got RFID chips in the balls, and they can figure out when something's in or out of bounds. And how about in the NFL, you can figure out when the ball's crossed the line or didn't cross the line. Like, this is not hard. Elon Musk can send a ship into space and land it back down on Earth with chopsticks and then do it again. And we can't freaking figure out what a catch is?
Yep.
So all that said, Jeff, it is got to be addressed. It has to be addressed this offseason because they're losing fans. And myself included, yourself included, Michelle, we've all talked about we're not going to watch Super Bowl. And I'm going to keep an eye on the score. And if it's, a Eagles blowout, I'll probably flip it on because I'll want to see the Kansas City Chiefs get their faces stomped.
Get embarrassed. Yeah.
I'd love to see that. But outside of that, so this whole idea that hardcore fans, and I'm going to say that and I'm going to shut up. Hardcore fans are dipping out. And all you got to do is look at some of the posts that have been from like Tom Pelissero and some of the prominent reporters, national reporters for the NFL, when they're talking about this officiating thing. And the comments, it's not just us crazy Raider fans. They're getting drugged by
Everybody.
every NFL fan. All us hardcore fans that are in this game, snap in, snap out every freaking week, we're all over it. For whatever reason you want to qualify it, none of us are interested in it and are starting to tap out. So you're going to sacrifice us who are there diehard, religiously, nonstop for some temporary Swiftie eyes. And no disrespect to the Swifties, but they're going to tune in to see their girl.
Yeah, hell
so
yeah.
that's going to artificially inflate the ratings. And the NFL is going to tout, this is the most watched Super Bowl ever. Yeah, except you just lost a whole huge segment of fans that buys your shit and goes to your goddamn games and sets up our vacation schedules around this shit. Like, you're going to lose us. And I think that that's unfortunate because the NFL is the greatest sports league that has ever existed. And it's being damaged based on the current climate of the frickin' officiating.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Get off my frickin' lawn.
Yeah. No, I mean, you said it all, man. I really don't have hardly anything to add to that because that was so beautifully put.
Thanks, man. I had to get off my chest, man.
Yeah,
You're
dude.
killing
Yeah,
me.
for sure. No, you said that perfectly. You laid it out perfectly. I think there's one clear-cut answer here, and I think that's the NFL has to have full-time officials. The end.
Yeah.
That needs to be the play. There doesn't need to be 138 different officials, during different courses of the season and all. Like, just hire full-time officials, be done. Like you said, if they need to put chips in the freaking ball, they need to do something. Like, why can't the NFL do what every other league has done? You know what I mean? Like, you don't see.
They're the richest league.
Yeah. They're the richest league. They have the most fans, the most loyal fans. It's worldwide more than probably any other league, any other sport.
Well, soccer.
Soccer for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but real sports. You know, just kidding, Paul and Martin. Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah.
But seriously though, like, I mean, like there's steps, clear-cut steps that could be made to make this thing happen and make it so much more efficient and so much better, and doesn't leave freaking the games up to chance. Like, or how the guy was feeling that
That's
day.
the
like,
thing,
you know
is
what I
that-
mean?
yeah.
Like, it's, we can have clear-cut answers here. And there's, I mean, do it. Why not? We got to. Because like you said, fans are falling off. We've heard from some of our good people. I ain't watching the NFL until they fix it. Okay. Like, we can't blame you.
Blame you.
I hate it. I mean, there's content creators that are just like, bye. You know what I mean? There's a couple of them that we're good friends with. Like, I mean, they're just like, I can't do it right now. Can't do it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, you said it all, man.
Well,
I don't have anything else.
Well,
to add.
no, you did, and you make some great points there too, man. Is that I think, and that's, the NFL has more money than they know what to do with. There's zero reason they can't pay full-time officials. There's none. There's not a singular good reason that anybody could state that would make sense to me to be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's have a bunch of part-time guys. No, and girls, like they should all freaking be full-time. There's no reason they can't be.
Yep.
They could pay them you could pay officials millions of dollars a year for the entirety of the year, the calendar year, not the season, but the calendar year, and it wouldn't make a dent.
No.
It wouldn't make a damn dent.
Yep.
Where the Raiders worth $6 billion right now?
Exactly.
A singular franchise like the Dallas Cowboys could probably fund the payroll for the entire full-time staff for the entire year, and it would barely make a dent in Jerry Jones's freaking pocketbook.
Yep.
So I agree with you, dude.
Yeah.
It needs to happen.
It needs to happen, especially in an age where right now, especially with the NFL now moving away from DirecTV to YouTube TV. I bet more people are watching the NFL right now than have ever watched it ever, because it's so easily accessible and less expensive and all that. Like, this is the time to watch the NFL, and y'all are fucking it up. Fix it. The end. Because you're, as quickly as people have come to the NFL, they're going to dip. The novelty of Taylor Swift has worn off. The novelty of, watching Travis Kelce dance and do whatever, like, it's worn off. Like, now it's the most pivotal time right now. Do the right thing, NFL.
They've got to. They've got to. And you're right. And Chiefs fatigue is real. And we Jeff and I watched a little clip before we got on air here.
Yeah.
Between two of our favorites, Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen, talking about Chiefs fatigue. And Dan's one of those guys that was like, hey, we're watching greatness. We're watching greatness. And no, Dan, we're not. Jeff and I had a conversation the other day in the truck about how when you're squeaking by and you're winning games because of the fortune of calls or lack thereof or whatever, that's not greatness. Greatness is domination. Al Davis didn't want to beat you. He wanted to dominate you.
Yeah.
And when you look at like the 1983 Raiders, they got a first round bye. Then we beat the shit out of the Steelers. We beat the Steelers like 38.
24-7?
30. No, we never scored less than 30 that whole postseason. It was like 38-10. And then we beat the Seahawks like 30-14. And then we beat the Redskins 38-9.
Yeah.
That's dominance. When we looked at the 1989 Niners, and I know we don't love the Niners.
Yeah.
But in 1989, I don't remember who they played in their first three games, but they played the Broncos in the Super Bowl, won 55-10. I do remember this. The collective scores of the three games that they played in were 126-26. And 10 of those points came in the Super Bowl. Yep. That's dominance. That's greatness.
Yep.
That I can respect. This Chiefs shit that they're doing, that I'm sorry. I don't. And I know Tom Brady had some close Super Bowls, and you know what I mean?
And we saw greatness with him, as much as we don't like to admit that. We love Tom now, but like, he had some moments and stuff like, and that the league let the players play. Tom Brady would get his ass rocked, bro. in some of
against
these
Carolina.
games against Carolina. Like, I mean, holy cow. Like, I mean, especially early on in his career, the greatness that we were seeing and stuff like that. And the dude was getting his helmet knocked off, you know, and there was no calls and stuff like that. So like this ticky-tacky little baby shit that we're seeing with Patrick Mahomes, and every time he gets touched or not touched and a flag gets thrown when two guys come together and bang helmets and it looks bad on the, you know, on the front end, but they don't take another look at it, like, and the flags fly and all that. Like, I mean, this isn't greatness we're seeing. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. And we're not just saying that because we hate the Chiefs.
No, I'd be calling out any other team that was doing through this too. Like, and
don't compare Tom Brady's greatness. Don't compare Joe Montana's greatness. Don't compare Jim Plunkett and the 83 Raiders. Don't compare Kenny Stabler's greatness. Don't compare Michael Jordan's greatness, Kobe Bryant's greatness, anything like that to this freaking Chiefs team, because it is not great. It's bullshit.
Come on, dude.
It's not great. It's in a different fucking league. The end.
100%. 100%. I hate the 49ers.
Yes.
After our division, I hate the 49ers more than any other team in the league by a long shot. I had nothing but respect for the freaking Niners of the 80s and even in the early 90s with the Steve Young threw 5 touchdown passes and blew out the freaking Chargers in their Super Bowl. You can't not respect that. Like, I can respect teams I don't like. I respected Kobe and especially Kobe and Shaq's Lakers. I hate the Lakers. Hate them with a passion. But I could respect what the Lakers
Of course
did.
you can.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
As a Warrior fan, I get it. Okay, like, wow, they were dominant. I hate the Dodgers. Hate them. With every fiber of my being, I hate them. But
What we're seeing right now is great.
And they're going to be great again this year because they signed everybody in the planet. But like, but anyways, my point being, though, like I can, it's because you make something, that's a critical point there. This isn't coming from a fan just going like, oh, screw those guys. They're not doing anything because they're Chiefs. No, it really doesn't have anything to do with it. This is truly an objective opinion as a sports fan. Listen, I'm obviously the biggest Raider fan that I can be, but I'm also a fan of this league. I'm a fan of the NFL. I love the NFL and including the teams that I hate. I love them all because it's all one big giant thing. I love it all. I love everything about it. I talked about last week. I'm the guy that used to record NFL films. When I was a kid, I would record NFL films and then go back and watch them. That's where my fandom was formed. It was in those things. So I have such an appreciation, love for this game. And so it has nothing to do with my hatred for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I want to touch one more last little quick point. You made an awesome point when you talked about the availability of the NFL. And I was thinking about this when you were saying that. I used to, like, if I had something, if I was like busy on the weekend doing something or whatever, and it wasn't, you know, Raider game wasn't on or whatever, and I was like working in the garage or outside or doing whatever, I'd have like the radio on. Like this is before even on like having it on like cell phones and shit. I'd have like the radio on so I could like listen to the game or whatever. Now I watch the game. If I'm on a road trip, the game's, it's on. I've got it on. Any of the games, they're on my phone. You know what? It's the accessibility of the NFL is at its all-time peak.
Yes.
It's never been more accessible and easy to watch a game.
Yeah.
You can watch it on literally any device that you have. When I'm out here grilling out, I've got it on my iPad, just like I got it on inside on the big TV, and then I've got it on my iPad sitting right there next to the grill, so I don't miss a damn thing. You know? So do you want to lose those eyes? You want to lose my eyes?
Exactly.
For a Swiftie?
Exactly.
Come on.
And especially for the young people. I mean, like right now, if you're in college, you can sign up for the whole season of NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV for like $120.
I know. I've got a kid in college.
I've got a friend in college, so I'm totally with you. Yeah. But like, I mean, it's so easy to get. And like, you're going to lose these people just as fast as you got them. You know, your casual fans that go, I'll spend $100 and be able to watch every NFL game on the planet. Like, deal, sign me up for that. But when we see the same thing,
and then you're going to turn them off,
and you're going to turn them off because of some, you know, I mean, you're going to watch an incredible game and then have a defensive holding call with a minute whatever left in the game, and then the Chiefs wind up pulling out again another game. Like, come on, dude, this is way, way, way beyond the Raiders and the Chiefs rival.
100%, 100%. I agree. I agree.
Hey, let's hear from the fans, huh?
Well, I was going to say, do you want to do that? I'll tell you what, I've got one text message that I want to read.
Oh, okay.
And then do you have time? Do you want to get to the calls too? Or I can do the calls tomorrow. I can do
do the calls tomorrow.
I'll do the calls tomorrow. I can do a sea of fans tomorrow. But we do got a couple of minutes left. So I do want to read, because we've got a really nice text. Okay. So I want to read you this text.
Have we ever given a sizzler from a text?
No, but we're getting ready to.
We're getting ready to, because it's the only one of the night.
It's the only one of the night. But you know what? This would have been in the tight running anyways.
Okay, good.
Because this is a really cool message.
Good.
Okay. Hey, it's Jay from Syracuse, New York, and I just realized you were talking about Kevin the Raider Nerd, and that I've been listening to this show religiously for around 8 years. Wow, time really flies when you're suffering together. Isn't that how the saying goes? So thanks to you, Murf, Swag Jeff, Michelle, Uncle Mosh, and even Sonny for the years of entertainment. When I think about everything this team has gone through in those years, through the good times and the bad, the constant is you guys. Thank you for being the soundtrack to my Raider fandom for almost a decade now. Anyways, enough of that. The Raiders have made a correct, safe hire with Pete Carroll. Pete is on the verge of the Hall of Fame, and him turning this thing around will be the last hurrah that will make him a sure thing. Pete hiring Patrick Graham and Bob Leonard show me that Pete Carroll has no ego. He doesn't care they are not, quote, his guys. He just wants to win. Pete's age is not a factor. Murph is close to 73 years old, and we still listen to him.
That's amazing.
When was the last time a Raiders coach lasted 3 years anyways? Here's hoping for another 8 years with Raiders Fan Radio and Pete Carroll.
Hey.
Isn't that cool?
That's incredible.
So then he follows it up and he says, hey, you guys were doing the top 10 Raiders. Here's my top 10. Charles Woodson, number 1. Max Crosby, number 2. Followed by Rich Gannon, Bill Romanowski.
Okay.
Kirk Morrison, strong.
Wow.
Lincoln Kennedy, strong. Philip Buchanan, Timmy Brown, Thomas Howard, and Khalil Mack. I would feel it's legit. That's a good one. You got some good names on there. I feel like a poser if I included Raiders that were before I started watching, but I know all of them and am lucky to have met many of them. No disrespect to Tatum. My son was named after him. Otto Upshaw, the Mad Bomber, Dave Casper, Skip Thomas, Howie Long, Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen, Kenny Stabler, and the list goes on. We are lucky to be fans of such a great organization.
Damn.
Jay from Syracuse.
Jay from Syracuse. Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered if there was a bunch of calls.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm guessing that's Jay Morse because he's the president of the Syracuse Salt City Silver and Black.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm guessing that's who that was there. And so thank you, Jay. Thank you very, very much for your very, very kind words. And talk about OG. You can't get. Jay's got to be a made man, yeah.
I would imagine
He's gotta be.
Yeah, he's got to be.
If he's not, we're going to do that too. Let me go ahead and look it up while you play his Sizzler stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, congratulations, Jay in Syracuse. You are tonight's Sizzler Award winner.
I am the Sizzler.
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 We are Metallica, and we are here for your Oakland Raiders!
You know why we're out here, and we ain't playing around today.
From The Walking Dead to errant Jedi Knights, Raiders fans are a rogues gallery.
He's not on the list.
He is now. Well, Paul, get your paper out and all that, because this is another night where someone gets made on the same night they get a Sizzler. Congratulations, Jay from Syracuse. You are our newest made man.
You are a made man. You showed you are part of the family by participation. By chance, a man like yourself should make enemies, then they would become my enemies. Showing you are a friend of Raiders Fan Radio, you have leapt across the line. Friendship is everything. Friendship is more than talent. It is more than the government. It's almost equal to family. Be loyal. Made man, Raider fan. Someday, and that day may never come, I'll call upon you to do a service for me. But until that day, accept this as a gift. And don't ever forget, words can hurt more, but silence can break hearts.
Much respect, Jay.
Holy cow, Jay.
Watch it be another Jay in Syracuse, and that Jay is going to go to the Jay that we thought it was, and he's going to be like, "Hey, man, I got made on Raiders Fan Radio."
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Before you did.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
That's got to be who that is.
And through a text.
And through a text. Was that our first text?
That may be our first text
Sizzler?
ever. Well, it's definitely our first text
we've had
sizzler.
like Susan Lindley. We've had was it Susan Lindley? No, not Susan. Who was the oh darn it, who was the lady that we got the messages from, and then she sent texts about
just Susan. I don't know what her last name was.
It was just Susan. Yeah, Susan. Yeah. So those were the first texts, but by definition, but yeah.
But probably the first text sizzler.
Oh, gotta be. Yeah. So anyways, much respect to Jay in Syracuse and to all of those of you that have joined us live tonight for this episode of the Raiders Fan Radio Rundown. I guess I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back
guess so, huh?
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Why not? I love this podcasting thing.
You know, give the Raider Nation something else to listen to and something to watch than listening to press conferences of Super Bowl coverages. Yeah, that's 100%.
That's a really good point, Jeff. Yeah, so I'll see you tomorrow night. Probably same time, same bad channel, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, if you want to come back over, man, come on over.
Okay.
What else? Bye.
Well, and we'll be here Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Shout that out.
Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday, man. So I believe we said 10 a.m. Central, so that would be 11 Eastern and 7
a.m.
7 a.m.
No, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Pacific.
Math.
Yeah. I don't know. Just tune in.
So for Paul and Martin, it's going to be spring?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All you got to do is you go on YouTube and you smash the bell, and then you'll get notified. There will be on Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to be highlighting Super Bowl 18. Black Sunday, of course. We're going to be talking about that game, watching the NFL films, all that stuff. So tune in. Get your coffee or whatever you drink in the morning. Get a cocktail. Get your Bloody Marys. Get
your some Baileys in my coffee. I'll just say that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Valerie just got some Baileys and Kahlua.
Oh, bro. Yeah. Can't beat that. Just, yeah. Hey, pause.
And I like Baileys and Kahlua too.
Yeah, you do. It is the weekend. So much respect to each and every one of you guys for being here for an episode of the Raiders Fan Radio Rundown, where we take a lighter side journey into the dark side. Don't forget, boys and girls, what happens in Vegas is starting in Oakland. We love you. Good night. God bless.
Love you, Raiders Nation.
Goodbye.